I'm Spencer.
And I'm Eric.
And this is the Itch Network. And we're here to review Mario plus Rabbids. Kingdom Battle.
I saw battle on the title.
Yeah. This game was announced like a long time ago. Like before the Switch was even out.
In a galaxy far away.
In the Star Wars world. And it was called Mario RPG plus Rabbids. Oh. And we went over it. Remember, like a long time ago, we did the podcast, and it was like games we're looking forward to for the next year. And this game was on it as like Mario RPG plus Rabbids. And I was like, you know what? I love Mario RPGs, so I'll give it a shot.
Yeah, I do remember that because I was actually, because of that, I was tempted to play it as well. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking it would be the normal turn-based combat.
Yeah.
But was it?
Well, turn-based, yes. Definitely not an RPG in that aspect. It's very different. This game was later shown at E3. It says it won over 50 E3 awards and nominations. I like that they count and nominations in that because I'm sure it was nominated many times.
Yeah, I was gonna say how I didn't know there was that many awards. I thought it was like maybe 20 awards.
Yeah.
I know E3 had that many.
Anybody that hosts a video game show gets an award.
Yeah, right.
For it, so
participation trophies.
But if you recall, this one actually was one of the ones I was most looking forward to.
It was, yeah.
I was super excited to see this, and it finally came out, and I got to play it, and it's pretty great. But let me go into it and everything.
Yeah, I'm curious.
This is published and what do you call it? Developed? That's the other word we were just talking about earlier. Published and developed by Ubisoft. So no involvement with Nintendo, except for their blessing of Mario.
Oh, okay.
So you're free to use Mario. And they said, is this how you wanted to look? And they said, yes. And then they said, okay, we're making a game.
Which is something new for Nintendo.
Right. If last generation, Nintendo was very standoffish about handing anybody their stuff.
Yeah.
So this is really good to see. It was really interesting because you see, obviously half of it's Mario, but the other half is those Rabbids, which are basically like minions.
Yeah. From Despicable Me.
Yeah. Not a huge Minion fan, and I don't know if the Rabbids won me over, but they were funny. So I'll give them, one of them was funny. The other ones were just kind of pointless and dumb. But there was one character that I'll talk about a little bit. But this is made as an XCOM game. Very simplified.
And XCOM is a strategy-based game.
Tactics. Turn-based tactics RPG.
Okay.
But XCOM is violent, and it's set like in the real world where you're fighting aliens.
Sounds like Nintendo to me.
It's very, very Nintendo-y. Whereas this obviously is Mario, although he does have a gun. All the characters have guns.
And they have like the Mega Man blast.
Yeah.
The busters.
They attach this to their arm like exactly like Mega Man. And Peach has a shotgun. So that's interesting.
That is.
But it's very interesting.
Because she's going to perform a shotgun wedding on Mario.
Ooh, that's right.
Because they're never married.
That is true. Why aren't they ever married?
I don't know.
Just perennial bachelor, this Mario. Probably not by choice. Plumbers don't get any love.
Nope, that's why he's going to college. Which, that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah, he's got to get his degree.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like an XCOM clone, except very kid-friendly. And very mobile-friendly, which is something I wanted to talk about with the Switch.
So when you say kid-friendly, you mean like accessible?
Very accessible.
Okay, so
very bright, not violent, except for the fact that they're shooting each other, sometimes with shotguns. And this little guy swears. But it does the thing where it censors it.
Oh, okay.
But he says it, he's like, fuck. Like, it's like, I know what you said.
Right.
And I think the kids would know, too.
Could he say crap?
I guess, but it's clearly censored. Like
it starts with an F.
No, the characters are just all covered, so it's like like @ symbol, $, something. Right. He could be saying crap.
Shit.
But he's saying something.
Yeah.
So I just go straight for the worst.
Yeah, sure. Well, not anymore. One of the worst.
Oh yeah. But yeah, very kid friendly, and I want to talk about the fact that it's so mobile accessible, because the Switch is a console that obviously it toes the line between a console and a portable one. You actually use it more as a portable, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
Because you were bringing Sonic to work.
Yep.
And so I think that's interesting that it kind of toes that line. And this was very, very much mobile friendly, like a mobile friendly game. Because especially the first half of it, you could beat any level in like 5 to 10 minutes.
So you're saying the reason that it's mobile friendly is because the battles are shorter.
Right, the battles are shorter, more bite sized. Later on, it started taking a little bit longer, not a lot longer, but a little bit because it got hard. Sometimes the difficulty ranges between difficult and cheap. It doesn't necessarily always find a middle balance, but it was never so hard that I was like, I'm done with this. But sometimes it was like, that's not fun, so I had to restart the levels.
Yeah, I actually did watch one of your last streams on it, and I watched you have to restart the level.
Oh, me fighting Bowser?
Yeah, or Mega Charizard.
Mega Charizard. He had the wings.
Yeah, the wings he was flying, he was more like Charizard.
That was a difficult fight. But
I saw. Yeah.
Yeah, you can kind of play it in little bite-sized chunks, which is nice for the kids and also nice for it being a portable game. I'm curious if that's the strat that they're going with going forward for the Switch, because Zelda was kind of like that too.
Yeah, there were bite-sized things, because that's another game that I played mobily.
Yeah.
It was more so like I had to choose whether I was going to, when I would go to play it, I would find a shrine to explore.
Yeah.
Or I would complete the shrine. So I'd either run myself to a shrine and stop there.
Yeah.
Or I would then be like, oh, I'm stopped at a shrine, I'm going to finish the shrine.
Mm-hmm.
So like I was constantly doing that. So very much so, it was 5-10 minute digestion or ingestion. And then like 3 hours of digestion.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's same thing. It was very mobile, and the same thing with Sonic. I actually was surprised of how much content I got through.
Yeah.
In a half hour on my lunch break, playing the game. Then when I finally did sit down to beat the game, the 2 times that I sat down for multiple hours, I plowed through a lot of that game.
Yeah.
And I feel it
probably too much
in one sitting kind of thing than what these games
are meant for. And I think it's smart because Nintendo realizes that the kids are growing up with mobile phones now, and they're used to just getting like a bunch of quick stuff and then being done for, switching. Maybe they switch apps or whatever. They got to go on a learn at school.
You get a text or a call, or someone sends you a YouTube video or that you want to watch or whatever, and you just pop in. And you have to get into class. You're in between.
Yeah, like on recess, you can play.
You're on recess or something.
And I guess I see that's where the Switch might be headed.
School bus ride. I'm just thinking of more things. I'm just fixated on that.
Things the kids can do.
Yep.
Yeah. So I feel like that's where it's headed, and this game is a good example of it. Zelda's a good example. Sonic probably is, and I'm thinking Mario Odyssey will probably be that way. Like Mario 64, the levels were long, and maybe these will be like a lot shorter, like the Zelda little dungeons that they had. And you just kind of pop in, do one, and then you're done.
As long as this methodology, as long as it's accessible in that aspect, but creates depth as well, has the ability to where if you want to dive into something, you can. That's what I'm more concerned about.
And that's good that you brought that up, because this game, I think that's one of the detriments of this one. We'll get into that a little bit.
Okay.
But let's get started with the game itself. So XCOM style, if you're not familiar with XCOM, it's turn-based, like we mentioned, turn-based tactics RPGs, which deals with the cover system. I've always said I love XCOM system. I wish they made it into a more medieval approach, because that's how I like my tactics RPGs, like Fire Emblem, Final Fantasy. I like that style.
Shining Force,
yeah. Those styles are fun. I really, really enjoyed XCOM's take on cover, because XCOM goes way overcomplicated. So you'll get you can hide behind a cover. It can be high cover or low cover, which this game has. And so theoretically, high cover is 100% you're blocked. Nobody can hit you. Low cover is 50%. Now everybody has their own statistics, and then it changes that cover system. So everybody can get you could have a character with 36% cover, or maybe some guy gets an advantage on certain covers. So it comes up to 75% or something, blah, 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 all this stuff, which leads to a system, and you've probably seen memes about it, or you heard me and Rosie joking about it. You can literally have a guy who's 1 square away pointing his gun at you. The animation of the gun is inside your character, and he misses. Because it's the ratio, it's an RPG, so the ratio is just 85% chance of hit. Which is, it's kind of goofy. This game definitely avoids that in the complete opposite direction. So in this game, it's very simple. You have 3 opportunities to hit. A 0%, which means you won't hit. 50%, which means 50% chance, or 100%. Doesn't matter how far away you are. Doesn't matter how close you are. If the cover is half, it's 50%, and they're behind it. Or it's 0 or 100%. You're guaranteed to hit. There's no question about it. You know if you're going to hit, except for the 50%.
Gotcha.
And most of the time, the 50% one, if it hits, it's a crit, because criticals are very common in this game. And the criticals all have their own special abilities. And that makes it a ton of fun.
Yeah?
Yeah. So as you progress, you don't actually level up in this game. There's no RPG mechanic of leveling up. There's skill trees. And every time you beat a boss, you also gain extra HP, and you gain the ability to buy new stuff. And your weapons constantly upgrade. You have a primary weapon and a secondary weapon. Your primary weapon is going to be the thing that shoots the blaster, and the other weapon is like a toy. Mario uses like a hammer. He does an AoE damage attack. I never upgraded that. I did not actually like Mario in this game. He was my least favorite character. The other characters have a lot of creative ideas. Like some of them have a remote control car, which I really enjoyed, but it can only go so far. But the enemies would shoot it, so it was kind of nice because it would be like a fourth member that takes damage. So you could like lure it around. Yeah, exactly. And it would just chase whoever you aimed for, and it's very funny. And the Luigi Rabbid was my favorite because he had a rocket launcher and it just blew up in an area.
Oh, okay.
And these all created status effects, and there's poison. Not poison. There's vampirism, which is my favorite, which is way overpowered. Get the vampirism.
So it's like Leech.
Oh my god, yeah, and his is, I think, up to 70%.
Of damage?
Of damage comes back to him.
70% of his damage he heals himself for.
Yeah. And wait till I tell you how much damage you can deal in one turn, because it's absurd.
Yeah.
He is the most broken character in that game. But I'll tell you in a second.
That's why I loved him.
Yeah. But I only use the starters, which is the Peach Rabbid, the Luigi Rabbid, and the Mario.
Is that because you already started leveling them? And they were not leveling, but progressing? They
all progress on the same scale because you're given all of the orbs, which orbs is how you level up the skill tree. Mm-hmm. And they're all given the same amount of orbs. So if you get a new member, he can start with like 500 orbs if you're that far in the game. Oh. So there is no orb advantage anywhere. I could have picked anybody, and theoretically I can go back and play in like a New Game Plus and keep going. Don't know if I will. I might, because I like the style. But yeah, that's how you level up in the game. Now, here's another way that it differs from XCOM is the movement. So in this game, the movement is absurd. It's the most absurd movement thing you've ever seen in the game. Because you have, so like in Fire Emblem, right? Your character can move 10 spaces. Mm-hmm. We'll just throw out an arbitrary number.
5 this way, 5 that way.
Yeah. In this game, it's the same concept, but you can move anywhere within that space as much as you want. And I'll explain that like this.
Okay.
And the way that you get away with it is if you can hit an enemy, you can keep going.
So like checkers. If you
can
hop an enemy.
Well, yeah, I guess that's a way to do it. If in checkers you could go backwards 5 spaces and then go forward 10 spaces. Yes.
Shit, okay.
So Mario has the ability to jump on people and then jump on an enemy and then move. And every character can also slide. So you can run to an enemy, slide into them, run back to a different person, jump on their head, jump onto a different enemy who's like 10 spaces away, and then and then run somewhere else. So you can literally
infinite loop?
No.
Okay.
But so damn near close.
So there's a limitation to it.
There's a limitation, but essentially if you calculate it out, you're moving like 30 spaces.
Jeez.
Maybe 40 spaces in a turn.
So I'm curious, what is the limitation? What is that based on?
Just when you run out of moves. So like he gets 1 slide and 1 jump.
Oh, okay.
So if you hit the slide, you keep going, jump on somebody, bounce off their head, keep going, and then that's the end of your move.
Gotcha, that's what I was looking for.
Luigi Rabbid gets 2 slides. Was it 3? I think it was just 2. I think one of them actually got 3. But he gets 2 slides, can also jump on people's heads. His vampirism, you can up his damage to do 160 per slide, or 150, 160, can't remember. Vampirism, 70% of that. He can hit 2 people with it. Mm-hmm. So slide into one person, run to the next person, slide into them, run back to Mario, jump on his head, and jump somewhere behind cover. Shoot somebody, that's vampirism as well, for like 100, 200 damage. It's like, The game gives you a lot of freedom to move.
What's his max health?
Stuff. Like 400.
So you're getting...
Yeah, you 100% every turn.
100%?
You're backed up to 100% of your health every turn.
Damn.
Regardless of what happens. If you play it right.
Damn.
So
he's damn near unkillable.
Oh, yeah. He would be my solo reconnaissance guy. It'd be like, I need somebody to go out there. It's like, oh, he'll be fine. And I learned that in one mission because I was like, fuck, because everybody else was dead. And then he was my only guy left, and I kind of didn't like him at first. And I just upgraded that, and I was like, whatever, he'll just die. And he just started sliding around, and he's like, how is he still at full HP? I don't understand this, because he's all by himself.
And that was before you knew what vampiric was.
Yeah. I mean, I had an idea, but I didn't realize it was so effective. It was crazy. But yeah, this game has that. This game has healers in it. Peach would be the healer. Both Peaches are healers. Because she's female. Gender roles. I mean, technically, this Rabbid is a male, from everything I've read. He just has a wig on. And he would be the comic relief. Yeah. So we talked about the gameplay enough.
Does he try and hit on Mario?
Yes. He and Peach like argue over him and stuff. He is the only funny character in this, though. Every other character was kind of, and this guy swears. Like, what? Get him out of here. That's rude. But the graphics are kid friendly. If you've seen it, they're pretty bright and colorful, and it's very square based, so it's fun to look at. There's good geometry to it. But the cutscenes are really cool because the Rabbid, this particular Rabbid, the Peach one, is very funny. Because she keeps looking at her cell phone and she has like Snapchat on it or something. Okay. So she'll go like this during like all the cutscenes. And one of my favorites was the Donkey Kong one because the first boss is basically Donkey Kong, but he's white for some reason. But he's like a white Donkey Kong, and you kill him, and he's like flying behind you, and she's taking selfies of like him flying behind her, and she's like this, like posing like that, and you see it through the cell phone, so little pictures. And he's like flying behind her, and then one of them, she takes it, and he's like right behind her, like with his arm over, and he's like this, and then like the next picture he's flying back again. This is very adorable, like very cute, very funny, and she does a lot of funny stuff. And one scene, if she dies, I think she takes off her wig and slams it on the ground, like walks off. It's very funny. Okay. But other than that, the humor wasn't really for me because it's like Minions. So if you like the Minions, you might like them, I guess. I don't know. How popular are Rabbids? Because I know they have their own show.
What?
Yeah, they have their own like TV show on Cartoon Network or something.
I did not know that.
But I've never heard of a kid tell me they know what Rabbids are.
Yeah, I've never heard anyone talk about Rabbids, and I hang around a lot of kids.
Yeah. I don't know. I've never heard of the show. I mean, I know that it exists, but I've never heard of it. And it comes from Rayman. I don't know if you're familiar.
Yeah, so that's actually when I first started like saying the name of this game. I called it Mario plus Rayman.
Rayman, yeah.
I constantly said that, and then everyone kept correcting me, and I'm like, why do I think they're related? And then now you tell me things.
Yeah. So I don't know. I guess they're more popular than Rayman, kind of like the Minions are with Despicable Me. Mm-hmm. Everyone just talks about the Minions.
Yeah, poor Gru.
Poor Gru. But this leads me to some cons. So XCons. Ooh, XCons. All the girls like those prisoners, you know.
I thought you were saying you like female prisoners.
Ooh, even better. You know they're wild.
Mm-hmm. Unpredictable.
So the only, I mean, the game is fine. There's nothing inherently wrong with it, but I will say that it is a bit shallow. So there's only two modes really. There's the combat, and then there's puzzles. So in between, you know, most of the in each world, there's about 4 or 5 puzzles you have to solve, and they're fun enough. They're not difficult by any stretch. The longest one I think took me 10 minutes to complete. They weren't like Zelda puzzles. They were very simple, very kid friendly. You beat them pretty easily. There were some Zelda puzzles I don't think I even finished.
Yeah, there's one that I'm still working on.
Yeah, there's some trickier ones in there. I think I just backed out and said forget it. But this one, they're very easy, and for $60, I don't know if I would recommend this game.
Yeah,
I think it's a little bit too shallow because there's the combat, which is fine, but it's not like a game where you can like free roam and like explore a whole lot. I mean, it has kind of the Metroidvania style of you gain new power-ups and new things you can do, and then you can go to places you couldn't go before. Because the world's kind of like a donut shape. when you can explore around that. But it's very simplistic.
Donut.
I wish I haven't had a donut in a long time. But it's very simple. Probably too simple. Even for kids, I think they would probably like it to branch out a little more. So I would. Everything I've said is mostly a compliment. This would be my only negative, and it's such a big negative that it knocks it down to like $40. But also, unfortunately, this is Nintendo, and I know it's made by Ubisoft, but it's got Mario in it.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not just Nintendo; it's Mario.
Yeah.
Mario and Pokemon, they don't drop in price.
Yes, this game will probably, in fact, it'll probably get more expensive as time goes on, which is why I'm going to hold on to it.
And it's something that I wanted that we'll discuss at later point on our actual full podcast that we do every Saturday. It'll be one of our topics, but why can Nintendo get away with that?
Yeah.
To where other developers can't.
Most developers.
Yeah.
Grand Theft Auto, they're still selling for $60. I mean, they put sales up every goddamn day, but it's still technically a $60 game.
Yeah. Now, going off of your cons here, one thing I need a little more information on is the puzzles. How are the puzzles? Like, what are you doing? Are you just attacking environments? No,
so it merges back and forth between an exploration game and a combat game. Did you ever play Gears of War?
Gears of War, yes.
Gears of War. So you remember when you'd be like wandering around, they'd be talking, they'd be giving you exposition, be like, "Oh, my wife was over here the other day," and
yeah.
And they'd be talking, blah blah, and you look just maybe 100 meters in the distance, right? And what do you see? You see like a piece of rubble that's like a horizontal like rectangle, and then you see like one in front of that, and like a little spawn point over there, and like a little a ladder over here, and just like it's littered over here, whereas before it's like a corridor. It's like, oh, there's gonna be a fight in like 5 minutes or 2 minutes. As soon as I walk over this line, we're gonna get attacked by the locusts. It's the same thing here. Only this game is even more obvious because they put flags at the beginning.
Oh.
So you're walking around, you do a puzzle. So it's usually just like a switch puzzle, like put the like a trophy on this little pedestal, and then it unlocks a certain area, and you got to take the trophy and put it in the right spot, and then the right path will open. Or little switcheroo puzzles, just block puzzles really. They're very simple. So I'm saying it's very shallow. It's not. There's a couple of creative ones, but there's only so much you can do with just block puzzles.
Right. Yeah. I was kind of hoping that it was teaching you the skills of combat.
Oh no, not at all.
In the puzzles, like they would have you jump off of items or trigger, like you had to hit the switch twice, and also then jump off your character and get your guy through the gate in one turn. Otherwise, the gate would close.
That would be really clever, actually. I would like that. No, this game, they are completely separate, the puzzles versus the combat. Because as soon as you cross into the combat thing, then it's a turn-based tactics RPG. There was one boss, actually, that did a really good job of kind of blending it as a puzzle with a boss fight, where you had to knock out these lights. Because there was an opera singer as a boss, and then when the lights were on him, he was invulnerable. So you had to dash into the lights and then break them. And then once you did that, you could shoot him.
See,
so you had to position the characters the right way, which I like that. But he's really the only boss that there's another one, but it wasn't as complicated. But I like that one a lot. That was probably my favorite boss. Bowser was fun. It's very difficult.
So you're saying $40 for this, and how many different characters can you play in the game? Is it
8?
There's 8 characters, and it's the 4 main Mario characters: Luigi, Yoshi, Peach, Mario, and then the
Rabbid counterparts.
Okay.
So if you really really want to play as each one, you absolutely can. There's a new game plus option.
Is there any amiibo support for this?
That's a good question. I don't have any amiibos. I don't think so. I don't see anything. Oh, amiibo compatible. I don't know what amiibos you'd use, but it is compatible.
I have some.
Have to give it a shot.
Yep. I don't have any Mario ones though.
But I'm sure you could get it used at some point for under $60. 55 bucks. It's your best bet.
Yeah.
It's definitely worth playing if you get the opportunity. If you can get it for cheaper. But it doesn't have a lot of staying power. I would say you got about 10 to 15 hours. unless you really want to go gung ho about it. So yeah, good game.
Did you co-op at all?
No, I didn't do any co-op. I play my tactics RPGs by myself, unless it's Divinity. I'll play that one with Rosie. Well, I'm Spencer.
And I'm Eric.
Thanks for watching.